Ladies and gentlemen, on the desk here I have the Sound Blaster K3 Plus, which is Creative's attempt at making an audio interface for streamers or people who want to do voiceovers, record, or even people who want to go to karaoke and sing. So today I'm going to be recording directly from it, going through all the features and also doing a comparison between this and also the current audio interface that I use at the moment. This is the EDIROL UA25EX. Now the thing about the 25X and the thing that I love about it, and I've used it for so long, is it's got an onboard compressor built in. And so essentially that'll fatten up your voice, make it even so in post you don't have to process it and whatnot. But for $130, it does come in at a pretty decent price considering you got two XLR mic inputs. You've also got two individual headphone outs as well for individual monitoring with their own volume controls. So when we compare that against the Scarlett 2i2, which is a very popular unit at the moment, that is $150 US. Of course, the UA25X that I use, I got that for about $30 used in Japan. You currently can't buy them at the moment, but let's go through a tour with this device and see what we can do and actually see what makes it pretty special when it comes to an end streamer who just wants to get into streaming and have some cool effects available. Welcome back to Tech Yes City, guys. I got this thing on the desk here, the Sound Blaster K3 Plus. We're going to go through all the controls and what it features here. Two XLR front inputs and also a 1/4-inch jack in line in there, which you can use with a guitar, for example. And you've also got your two headphone jack outs, which are 1/4-inch too. Got the volume controls for them right there. We're not going to touch them since I've already normalize them, and also your mobile out jack as well for controlling that. Mobile in jack, if you want to use a 4-pole connector with your mobile phone and get input to this device, you can, and then you can control the volume of that with this knob here. 48-volt power, we're not going to turn that off for reasons being I'm using the condenser for this actual review. And then moving over to the left here, we have an interesting button called the soundboard. So let's press that, and now we get access to a heap of different sound effects which we can use on the fly. Double tap. Okay, and then we can turn that off and we've got soundboard effects. I'd like to see Creative maybe add in the solution, if a firmware or a software solution could come in to add your own sound effects in and then flash them to this device. That would be awesome. But we've got the voiceover feature as well. Apparently it cancels out background noise. We'll test that later when we hook it up to get some measurements on the output and input of this device itself. So then besides that, we have the treble and bass volume. Turn that up, get more treble, turn it down, eliminate some treble, and also bass, same thing. So if you have a mic like the Behringer B1, which I'm using now, is actually a little bit bass anemic. So we can turn that up just a little bit and turn the treble down just a little bit, and it'll balance out the microphone quite well. Of course, we've got the volume knobs for our inputs there. Not going to touch those for reasons being that I'm, again, using this device to record this review. Okay, so if we press the reverb setting now, we can move along with that and change the amount of reverb, and then if we want to change the reverb effect, so effect and then how much. So if you want to sing, for example, so there we go. Now we can turn that off, of course. That is your reverb effects. So now on the right here is the auto-tune setting. And before I turn the knob, we can go through all the different settings. And I'm going to say I do not know anything about auto-tune, never used it before, but we've got all the different settings, and I'll just quickly flick through them for you. And you can hear it's just changing my voice in ways that are unknown. So you can put this on C, and then you can sing for yourself a little song, and it'll auto-tune your voice. So we can go with the AMD graphics card tonight. I want my AMD graphics card tonight. That's if you're an AMD fanboy. And we can turn that off just the same way we turned it on. So that's pretty much the bread and butter of the Creative K3 Plus. Easy to install, very simple to use, also has a very low signal to noise ratio. So you plug your microphone in, you shouldn't have any people complaining about noise with your condenser microphone. I know I've tried some audio interfaces and even some USB standalone condenser microphones in the past. When you turn them up, they introduce noise, and that's something you just don't want, especially if you're live streaming. Happy to report that this thing doesn't have that at all. It's also got a 96 kilohertz 24-bit output. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move over to the main desk, test this thing out, and see the frequency response curve, because maybe some people don't want to buy it just for its condenser live streaming functionality. Maybe some people want to replace their onboard audio or even upgrade their sound card, for example, and they want to see if this is the all-in-one solution that they can need. So let's jump across now. Turn it on right now. Okay, so it's on right now, and I'm going to keep talking, and then I'm going to try and turn it off right now. Okay, so voiceover is off. Was there any difference? Let's find out. So we just finished the voiceover effect, and I thought that made no difference whatsoever. I'm not entirely sure what it does, but at the same time, I wouldn't buy an audio interface for that feature anyway. For me, I'd like to see that button changed to a compressor button, if anything. And guys, if you need to remove background noise from your recordings, then you should be buying a dynamic microphone, not a condenser microphone. Condenser microphones will basically suck in all the noise in the whole room. Of course, the further you get away from the microphone, the more tinnier it becomes. But the last thing we've got to check now is the crosstalk levels, and I'm glad to say that they were phenomenal. Over 65 dB difference, so left and right channels were separated perfectly, all up to a volume of 100. And the best news is that the frequency response curve was phenomenal as well. There was basically no bass roll off up until 10 Hertz, and then after that it rolls down to 0, and it's also a very smooth curve. And then of course up to 20 kilohertz, it's a very straight line and a smooth roll off too. So in other words, this is going to be a very flat, very good, very rich sound going to your headphones. And of course with that volume level, it's going to power even high-end headphones quite nicely. So this is a unit that will double down as not only a recording device, but an excellent replacement for an onboard audio unit or a sound card or even onboard audio itself in a motherboard. So here's what the onboard camera audio will sound like. Obviously very tinny. I'm sitting about 2 meters back from this thing. It's going to sound horrible, but let's switch over now to the Behringer B1 going through the K3 Plus. So now I've been using this combination for the majority of this review. You're probably already used to it. It sounds very nice in my opinion. I love the sound going into the K3 Plus from the Behringer B1. Of course, this microphone is a very good value for money option. A little bit bass anemic and a little bit treble, like very slightly, so you can actually balance that out with this unit itself. However, it doesn't have a compressor on board. Let's compare that now against the UA25EX, which does have a compressor on board. So now I've got the Behringer B1 connected directly to my EDIROL UA25EX. The compression nozzle is set up around about 2/3 of the way up. So here's a little test of what this will sound like. And so we can jump back now to the Creative K3 Plus, and you guys can analyze whether you think this audio interface sounds better or the K3 Plus sounds better. Because I'd love, as much as I analyze it myself, to hear your feedback in the comments as well. So in closing out, the K3 Plus from Creative is a tight little unit. Comes in at $130, comes in $20 cheaper than the Scarlett 2i2, which is a very popular audio interface out there at the moment. I'm very impressed with what I've seen here with the numbers and the frequency response curve, but also the noise coming into this unit itself. So if you want to get into streaming and you want something that's reliable, simple, and easy to use, this has definitely got a lot going for it. Plus it does look really cool on a desk as well. Very simple black design with that brushed aluminum on the top. So it is made of hard plastic and metal too. I do like the design. I do like the simplicity of this thing. Creative have done a pretty good job with the K3 Plus. That was for Aussie and UK pricing. I'm not entirely sure yet. I will update the description below when I know more about those details. But anyway guys, that's about it for today. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to hit that like button. Let us know in the comment section below what you think about this microphone going into the K3 Plus. Love reading your thoughts and opinions as always, and I'll catch you in another tech video very soon. Peace out for now. Bye. And then we can move on now to auto-tune, and this has many different modes. And see, the frequency was perfect. And usually mobile phones have their 4-pin, which works. And then we go here on the right, we can turn that up. Wait, that's on auto-tune now. Okay, cool. Whoa, my AMD graphics card tonight. I want my AMD graphics card tonight.